Hello George, I'm Shauna O'Toole from the Aircrew Contract Agency. We're here to help you. What can I do?
Hello Shauna, I saw an advert your agency had placed on that amazing pilot forum Pirate, looking for Boeing 787-800 captains, based in Utopia. Can you tell me more about it please?
Why certainly George. Utopia is such an interesting country, you know. Have you ever been there?
No Shauna, I haven't, but it's actually the job conditions more than the country that I'm interested in hearing about. Is the tax paid by me or by your agency, Shauna?
The tax, George, you don't need to worry yourself about that. It's all taken care of. You know George, this job is one of the best paying jobs going for 787 captains. As a matter of fact, this contract is one of the best in the industry. You're lucky to have gotten in so quickly, George.
Really? I heard that there was a shortfall in the number of applicants because the Utopian civil aviation authorities were making it difficult for foreign captains to gain entry. Is it true it can take 3 to 6 months to process the license?
Let's concentrate on the positives, and not some of the rumors you might have heard. Moving ahead, George, the money is very good. It's around $7,000 plus per diems, George.
7,000? I thought it was $9,000 plus per diems.
9,000. 9,000 is when you fly 200 hours per month, George. We need to be realistic about things, you know. After all, things have become a lot tighter in airlines over the past few years. There are a lot of pilots out of work these days. Our agency has over 20,000 on our books who would give their left testicle for this job, George.
Okay Shauna, so my base is 7,000, right?
Yes George, that's right. You get $7,000 for 130 hours per month.
130 hours? How often will I be flying that in a month?
Oh, pretty much every month, George. For every hour less than 130, your salary drops $500, meaning if you flew less than 116 hours, you go into a debit situation whereby you pay us. The days of pilots sitting around and doing 60 and 70 hours are long over, George.
I'm not averse to hard work, Shauna. But I understood the sectors in Utopia are around 1 hour, so how many sectors do the pilots fly in a day?
George, let's move ahead and make this a go situation for all parties. This is a great opportunity for you to make good money and get some good experience under your belt.
Experience? You mean my 12,000 hours isn't worth anything?
Of course it is, George, but all of that time was logged outside of Utopia.
Yes, I know that. My logbook doesn't have a separate column for every different country. So how about the accommodation? I read it was a 4 or 5-star hotel.
You must have been reading an old contract, George. The airlines can't afford to keep paying those for sort of unnecessary expenses in these days of fierce competition. You've got a choice of accommodation, George. Take it, or leave it. You'll be booked into a 2-star motel room that you'll be sharing with 5 other refugees. Pilots. You do seem to be expecting quite a lot, George. We're talking about a low-cost operator here. Expenses need to be kept to a minimum.
So I get 2 weeks off every 2 months. How about days off whilst on duty? I guess it's the mandatory 1 in 7.
George, you're being paid to work, not to have a holiday. Pilots seem to think that they're somehow different from other workers. The contract states you will get a guaranteed 1 day off in 10. Additionally, you can take a full 7 days off every 60 days. However, those will be subject to rostering requirements and on no pay. This is a generous contract, George. I worked hard to get these conditions for pilots, so what do you say? Do we move forward with this?
Can you give me a day or 2 to look through the contract and then get back to you, Shauna?
I can't leave a copy with you until you've signed, George. I urge you to grab this opportunity. Contracts like this one don't come along very often, and as I said, I've got several hundred other applicants just waiting to have the chance to fly this contract on lesser conditions than I'm offering you. So what's your answer, George? You are an intelligent, good-looking man. Do we close the deal and get you into one of those shiny new 787s with those hot young flight attendants?